Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends and enemies and comrades, I hope you're doing well. It's late night in Kenya. It's probably 1 a.m. Hey, if you are somewhere in the US, it's probably evening. If you're in Europe, it's early night. It's probably like 8, 9, 10, 11, somewhere there. You know the drill. Karibu sana, this is Kenya Revolutionary. We just want to look at something. Gachagua's case. Gachagua's case. Gachagua's situation, the situation that he finds himself right now. He is in the process of being, he has been impeached by the legislative body arm of the government, and is fighting in his case in the courts. But it's a huge upward hill for him to climb. But it's possible. It's not impossible. At least he had some few wins here and there. He managed to get a conservatory order to stop the swearing in of Kindiki, who is supposed to be his successor. But here's something I want to focus on. But before I get started, if you haven't subscribed and you're just joining me, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button. It is free. Like the video. Okay, can you do that? Turn your notification on. Then we can get started. All right. Let's get to the mada ya leo. Let me just start with a recap, not a recap, but some news about what happened today. All right, let me start with this by Danstan Omari. Okay. I won't be here for long. I'll be here 1 hour max. Then we'll see what's next after that. Okay. All right. Let's do this. Danstan Omari or somewhere like that. This is from NTV. Excuse me, let's hear what they have to say.
Kenya wanaosubiri kwa hamu na ghamu, kikuu zaidi ikiwa ni jopo hili la majaji kutoa mwongozo kuhusu wao kuweza kujiondoa katika kesi hii kama maombi yalivyowasilishwa na mawakili wa naibu rais aliyeng'atuliwa Rigathi Gachagua. Lakini baada ya hapo sasa ndio tunaingia katika kesi iliyo na uzito na kesi ambayo inasubiriwa na kila mtu, ambapo tutaangazia je, mahakama hii ya juu itakuwa inatoa vizingiti ambavyo viliwekwa na mahakama ya Kirugoya pamoja na ile ya Milimani ya kuepusha kuweza kuwekwa ofisini rasmi naibu rais mteule Kithure Kindiki. Hayo ndio matarajio ya Kenya yanayoitwa hapa vile studioni. Sijui ni yapi yanajiri kutoka upande wako Muthoka, uwanjani wako. Sema nasi.
Na bila shaka ni wazi kwamba macho yote ya Wakenya, sio tu wafuasi wake Rigathi Gachagua ambaye aliondolewa ofisini na bunge la Seneti pamoja na bunge la kitaifa, bali pia wafuasi wake Profesa Kithure Kindiki ambaye aliteuliwa na Rais William Ruto juma lililopita kurithi mikoba yake Gachagua. Ni wazi kuwa macho ya Wakenya wote yako hapa katika mahakama ya Milimani, ambapo itakapogonga saa 8:30 tunatarajia jopo la majaji watatu linaloongozwa na Jaji Eric Ogolla na linalohusisha Jaji Freda Mogambi pamoja na Jaji Anthony Mrima kuja kusikiza kesi ambazo zitaamua hatma sio tu ya Gachagua bali pia Kindiki. Na hili kuelewa ni kipi haswa kinachotendeka hapa mahakamani pamoja na kuweza kubaini mbivu na mbichi kuhusiana na hatma za Gachagua na Kindiki, ninaye wakili tajika hapa Danstan Omari ambaye atakuwa akitupa taswira ya kiwakili kuhusiana na swala hili nzima. Asante kwa muda wako, na tukianza tu Wakenya wote wanatazama kuona ni nini kitakuwa kikifanyika kuanzia saa 8:30. Kwa mtazamo wako, tutarajie maamuzi ya aina gani labda, na tutarajie kuona kipi haswa pale katika mahakama mbele ya jopo la majaji watatu?
Hii kesi ilipofika mahakamani, jambo la kwanza ilikuwa juzi tumetatua swala la ni nani ambao watakuwa parties. Leo asubuhi wale parties wameunganishwa, petitioners waka pande moja na respondents pande nyingine. Leo kuna swala la tatu ambalo linaulizwa. Je, hawa majaji waendelee kusikiza hii kesi ama waondolewe? Application ya petition Rigathi Gachagua pamoja na wengine wameweka motion kali zaidi. Wameweza kutoa sababu 11 ambazo ziko pale. Sababu ambazo zingine ni kwamba majaji wale pengine wao wameteuliwa kwa sababu wana urafiki na watu fulani. Wale majaji pengine mabibi wao wanafanya kazi na serikali. Kwa hivyo yale mambo ndiyo yanaulizwa leo hivi kwamba wao ule Rigathi Gachagua na upande wetu hatuna imani na hawa majaji. Kwa hivyo kama Gachagua aliposhtakiwa pale bunge, ijapokuwa hapa katika motion ya recusal jaji asimami kujitetea. Kwa hivyo sisi tumeshtaki majaji wale, tutatoa ushahidi ya kuonyesha kwamba wao hatuna imani na wao, kisha wataamua kama kweli watakubaliana na sisi. Iwapo watakubaliana na sisi, basi watajiondoa. Wakijiondoa, ile file bado itarudi kwa Chief Justice, panel mpya iweze kutengenezwa. Wakenya bado masuala ya impeachment hayajafikiwa. Hatujafikia kiwango cha kuuliza kama Rigathi alitolewa kihalali ama bado. Iwapo tutashindwa kwa hili ombi ambalo tunaweka sasa, basi aidha kesho ama siku nyingine ndipo tutaambiwa kwamba kuna application ya serikali ya kuondoa zile order za Kerugoya zilizomzuia Kindiki kuchukua hatamu za kile kiti. Kwa hivyo bado mambo ni marefu. Ndiposa nilisema taratibu za koti ni tofauti na taratibu za bunge. Hapa kabla ya maamuzi juu ya kesi ya kuondolewa, application zote zile zitakazowekwa lazima tatuliwe kabla ya kesi ya Rigathi. Ndiposa nilisema huenda vile mambo yameanza, huenda tukapata kwamba hizi kesi zitakuwa mahakamani mpaka mwaka 2027.
Wapo wanaosema kwamba baadhi ya kesi ambazo upande wa Gachagua unaleta ni za kujaribu kuchelewesha mchakato wa kumrithi Gachagua, lakini upande wa Gachagua unasema kwamba unahitaji kupatiwa haki ya kusikizwa. Lipi ni lipi?
Kuna pande mbili. Kuna wale wamelipwa na serikali. Argument yoyote inayotoka kwa upande wa kina Gachagua, wao watasema kwamba ni ya kupoteza wakati. Kuna wale sisi tumelipwa na Gachagua, hatujalipwa na serikali, hatutafanya kazi kulingana na vile wao wanataka. Kwa hivyo sisi ni timu moja, wale ni timu nyingine. Bora tu sheria inasema kwamba yote yanayofanyika mahakamani ni halali. Tutazidi kutumia mbinu zote za kisheria ambazo wewe Mkenya ulizipitisha. Ile katiba uliipitisha mwaka wa 2010 ndiyo inatupa silaha za kumsaidia na kumtetea Gachagua. Wale wa serikali walikuwa na nguvu kule bunge. Tulipowaambia vizuri kwamba bunge ni tofauti na kotini. Koti hapa ni procedure. Kwa hivyo mimi na imani kwamba Kindiki ni mwalimu wangu. Hatuna shida na yeye. Shida ni kwamba anataka kupewa jukumu la kuwa naibu wa rais kwa njia ambayo si halali. Sisi tunatetea sheria. Mawakili waliomo kotini kwa upande wa serikali wanatetea sheria kulingana na instructions za ule aliyewaajiri. Sisi upande wa Gachagua tunamtetea Gachagua kulingana na zana zile weapons wa Kenya walizotupa katika katiba na sheria za taifa. Kwa hivyo hayawi huwa mbwembwe bado itaendelea. Nimekwambia tusubiri, angalia NTV radio na television, hizi ngoma zitakwenda mpaka 2027 pengine Machi.
Kuhusiana na Kindiki, tumeona mawasilisho kutoka upande wa serikali wakisema kwamba kuna yale maagizo ambayo yalitolewa na leo labda yanafikia siku ya mwisho. Je, ni sharti leo mahakama itoe maagizo mapya labda kuhusiana na yale maagizo ambayo yalimsitisha kuapishwa kuingia ofisini?
Kuna oda ya kusema hawezi apishwa. Ile oda bado haijatolewa. Wengi waliokuwa watoto wakati kesi ya BBI ilianzia mahakama ya High Court, ilisukumwa mpaka Supreme Court. Hii kesi kumalizika kwake inasukumwa kwenda mpaka Supreme Court. Sisi kwa upande wa Gachagua tuko tayari kutumia sheria ambazo Mkenya alitupa. Vidaraja ni vitatu. Kidaraja cha kwanza sio vitano, vitano. Kidaraja cha kwanza kilikuwa bunge, Gachagua alibwagwa, akachukuliwa Senate, Gachagua akabawa. Tuko kwenye daraja ya tatu, High Court. Tukitoka hapo kuna daraja ya Court of Appeal. Tukitoka Court of Appeal kuna daraja ya Supreme Court. Kwa hivyo daraja ziko hivyo, hakuna mtu atakayesema kwamba lazima ile oda itolewe leo. Ile oda haitatolewa mpaka isikizwe. Na kumbuka sisi tunasema kwamba leo wale wamefanya application, kuna main petition. Ile main petition tunataka wale walio swear affidavit wasimame pale waulizwe maswali. Tunataka Gachagua asimame pale aulizwe maswali ili Mkenya aweze. Hili sio swala Gachagua. Unapozungumza mambo ya Gachagua unazungumza mtu aliyepigiwa kura zaidi milioni 7. Usi MCA unavuruga hivyo. Lazima taratibu na katiba ifuatwe. Wale wana hamu ya kufanya, Gachagua anashtakiwa kwa kuvunja katiba. Haiwezi kuwa tena mahakama ivunje katiba, lazima ile mahakama ifuate katiba. Kwa hivyo hayo ndio tunayoangazia leo mahakamani.
Tukimalizia tu swali la mwisho kwa kifupi, kumekuwa tuna baadhi ya Wakenya ambao wanasema hatuna naibu wa rais, na pengine kitu huenda kikafanyika tu pale juu na huenda tukajipata katika hali ambayo ni tatanishi sana ya kisheria. Unaonaje?
Swali moja tu nawauliza, Rigathi Gachagua hajafanya kazi ya naibu wa rais kwa zaidi ya mwaka moja. Amekuwa tu amekaa pale. Kwa hivyo hakuna tofauti, taifa limeendeshwa na rais peke yake. Kwa hivyo waendelee. Pili, IEBC haiko. Nani ambaye anateua IEBC? Hivi leo Gachagua ama Kindiki na rais wafe, IEBC haiko, nini itafanyika? Kwa hivyo rais amesababisha hii confusion. Hawezi sasa kurudisha kutuambia kwamba hii confusion ni ya Wakenya. Confusion si ya Wakenya. Kwa hivyo ambia rais wa Kenya, anasikiza NTV, IEBC commissioners wakwe in place. Kabla kuna wabunge, kuna eneo wabunge walifariki, walitolewa kazi, ma-MCA mpaka saizi hawajateuliwa kwa sababu ya IEBC. Ni Gachagua amezuia IEBC isiteuliwe. Samani, niruhusu niingie kesi ya MCA pale ambapo tunaangalia mambo ya MCA ya Wajir. Tukutane.
Anyway, as we get back to the main topic, there's one thing I wanted to touch on real quick today, this evening, and it has to do with the IEBC. That was the last point that Danson Omari was making. This is the thing. This is the deal. This is the deal, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends and comrades. Pay close attention. We do not have an IEBC. And the truth is, even if, all right, let's assume the conservatory orders are lifted. Remember, the conservatory orders are the reason why Kindiki cannot be sworn in as the next deputy president. Now, assuming that the conservatory orders are lifted, first of all, he has to find himself a judge. Ideally, I think the Chief Justice is supposed to be present when they are swearing him in. I doubt if that will be the case. Maybe Deputy Chief Justice might do that, or somebody from the judiciary. He might find somebody. He might find somebody to do that. Let's assume that happens, okay? He is sworn in. Now, we are faced with a problem here because, again, Kindiki cannot lawfully become the deputy president of the Republic of Kenya because he was never vetted. Let's not buy into this whole argument by Ruto where he's trying to convince us that the CEO of IEBC signed a letter proving Kindiki to go ahead and become, to be nominated. No, before he gets nominated, the IEBC has to vet him. And the vetting process cannot happen if the IEBC is not properly constituted. As it stands right now, we do not have a chairperson at the IEBC. That's number one. Number two, we don't have commissioners. Remember, when the Gen Zs were collecting signatures in order to try to recall their senators and MPs, the matter went to the court, okay, because there was no IBC, because the Gen Z were trying to still do it as, without the commissioners and without the chairperson, IBC chairperson. And the courts pronounce itself through the Supreme Court and say that the IBC cannot fully operate or cannot function without a chairperson and commissioners. So until then, the IEBC cannot be considered IEBC as we know it, cannot carry out its function without a chairperson or with the commissioners. So with that said, based on that rule, okay, based on that pronouncement, Kindiki cannot claim that, he got a stamp of the approval by the IEBC just because Mr. CEO approved his letter. That's not good enough. So we will have a case of where this man is not approved. And number two, Kindiki is supposed to be a member of UDA for at least the past 6 months, which is not the case. Okay, you see? So that all will still bring that matter to the courts. So legally, Kindiki cannot become the deputy president legally. Okay. Now, with that said, basically, that means that as it stands right now, no one can be nominated to become the deputy president of the Republic of Kenya. The only person who can sit on that seat is Rigathi Gachagua if the court rules in his favor and he gets reinstated, because the process is already done. He was voted with Ruto. He went through the process while they were candidates. Okay. But as of now, as long as we don't have an IBC, there's no one who can take the deputy president's position as it stands right now. Okay. So that's the dilemma that we're facing right now. Now, could it be that that's done by design? What's really holding up this IBC appointment, the constitution of IBC? I understand the first part of it. I explained in my previous video that it was the opposition at the time, so-called opposition, the Azimio side, who say that they were not going to let the president reconstitute the IBC until they also sit at the table and have a say in picking the commissioners and all the chairperson. And that is what was being discussed in the NADCO report, which the amendment of the IBC was part of the bullet points that were supposed to be implemented before the IBC is reconstituted, which they brought about illegally at the parliament. And the parliamentarians, as you know, the National Assembly passed it. It is law now. The IBC amendment bill is now law. And we remember the brouhaha around it. Now, let's not lose focus, because we remember before that bill was passed, before any bullet points in that NADCO report was implemented, there was a judge, Tuge, I forgot her name, not Tuge, I forgot her name, from the High Court somewhere. And she made it clear that NADCO report was not anchored in law, and there's nothing unconstitutional about it, because NADCO report does not represent the national will of the people. This was a disputation between two factions, Azimio and Kenya Kwanza, two political coalitions. And in fact, that was the first criticism that they faced when they sat down at Bomas. And then they were so clever, they tried to change the name. They renamed it into a national coalition, NADCO. Okay. So this is two political coalitions, Azimio and Kenya Kwanza, who met up at Bomas in a 5-man panel, or 6 or 9 or whatever the case is, led by Kalonzo on one side and what's his name on the other side, Cheruiyot and the gang, and Hassan and all these idiots. And they came up with this report, reported it to Raila and Ruto. Then they pushed it through the parliament, and there was no public participation before this bill was passed. So the bill, the law itself, was brought in illegally. It's an illegal law that needs to be retracted, removed, rescinded. But it's our law. So even if we go ahead and reconstitute the IEBC under the present law, which was who the architects in this law were Azimio and Kenya Kwanza, it's going to benefit the two political coalition, and it's not going to reflect the will of the people. But the reason why I say this is done by design, and I'm not talking about this whole IEBC composition, I'm saying the delay of reconstituting the IEBC is done deliberately. Number one, it was to save 90% of the National Assembly and the Senate from being impeached. Not impeached, but recalled, sorry. That was number one. Because this is a rubber stamp legislative body. They don't do any oversight, and they don't make laws that actually helps the people. This is a rubber stamp legislative body. So they had to stop, they had to delay the reconstituting of the IEBC so that it can save these National Assembly, members of the National Assembly. So now, if Ruto wants something, he just makes a call, calls Otiende Amolo and calls Raila, and they sit down, and 2 minutes later, that thing is passed. That's why the Rigathi Gachagua impeachment went through as quick as it did, through the Senate, and through the National Assembly. Now, you had Danstan Omari said this case, Gachagua case, might go up to the Supreme Court. And it might take 3 years. I don't know about the 3-year part, but I won't be surprised. This thing is delaying. And I said it's not Gachagua who's delaying this case. I think it's both parties, but more so the government, the arms of government. The judiciary is delaying this party, this process. Now, in the morning, I mentioned and I said, what a coincidence. I read what Abdel Nasser Grand Mullah predicted will happen at the courts. And exactly 3 things of the 5 things he mentioned happened. And Jiru Ndegwa, who is on the Gachagua's team, actually highlighted Abdel Nasser's tweets. Okay? Where I'm going with this is this. The reason why I think maybe Gachagua, I say this, and today I'm going to take out, I'm removing my conspiracy theory hat, and I will try to look at it as someone who does not think that there's a larger conspiracy behind all this. I think Rigathi Gachagua is going to be kept off the office by all means, because Ruto understands that he cannot reconstitute the IEBC as of right now. He wants to make sure the National Assembly stays compromised as it is right now. The Senate does the same. So anything he wants passes through. Now listen to me. Tomorrow, remember, I told you the next agenda on that NADCO list was changing the constitution. You heard them talk about a motion will be brought to the National Assembly tomorrow to be voted on so that they can pass a resolution so that people can go to a plebiscite. Now, think about this. If they bring a motion in the National Assembly and in the Senate, this will take 2 seconds for it to pass, basically. Ruto will make the phone call to Raila Odinga. You had this. One day before he became a CS mentioned this. Raila said this in a bunch of times, that they wanted to look at the constitution and see if they can change what they don't like. So this is what's going to have to happen. They are going to call each other and say, yes, let's move the motion. This is what we're going to do. In 2 minutes, Kingi will pass it, and what's his name? Kingi and Wetangula will pass it through all these idiots that will vote in the National Assembly, the Oscar Sudis. And before you know it, we shall be going to a referendum. For a referendum, we'll have a plebiscite. Now, listen to me very carefully. Once it has been established, it has passed at the legislative body that we have to have a referendum to bring in this BBI, guess what's going to happen? They will have to reconstitute the IBC. They will have to pick IBC chairperson and commissioners, because they'll need that, because everyone will have to vote on the what? On the motion, on the matter, on the referendum. Okay? That is when they will. And guess what? The result will not reflect the will of the people. The result will reflect the will of the political elites, Ruto and Raila. Because guess what? The commissioners and the chairperson that's going to be handpicked will be somebody that Raila and Ruto agrees on. That's why they had to change the rule of picking up the referee to referee this whole referendum process. That's why they're delaying it. They were delaying to pick up the IBC because they wanted first to have a parliament before the Gen Z and Kenyans recall these MPs. They want to make sure that these MPs and senators pass everything they want. The NADCO stuff, all the stuff they want, they'll pass it. Once they've passed everything that they wanted and the matter has gone to the streets for us to vote for, that's when they'll recall these MPs. Now, there are some people who still have faith in the judiciary, and there's little hope. I'm not one of them. I believe the judiciary has been compromised. I know some people might disagree. I want to be proven wrong. If Gachagua is reinstated and this court follows the constitution as it is, I will be convinced. But after they ruled that the deputy Chief Justice Mwelu lawfully empaneled the 3 judges on a Saturday, okay, without any communication from the Chief Justice or without explaining why she had to do that, while we know that that function is exclusively the Chief Justice function, I'm convinced that the judiciary is also gone. I mean, Abdi Nasser Grand Mullah writes every day about the corruption that takes place in the judiciary and calls for a total overhaul. So I don't have faith in judiciary. I'm sorry. I know some people you do have it. What is happening at the courts today regarding Gachagua story, impeachment saga, I think it's just good for entertainment purposes. The game is rigged. They know the results. And like Danstan Omari said, they will drag it for what it's worth. Maybe till 2027, as he said. Because remember, when this impeachment started, guess what Ruto said? He said this matter should go to the Supreme Court immediately. So Ruto already knew that this thing will go up to the Supreme Court. How did he know that? And then 2 days later, Abdul writes the same thing and explains how this matter will reach the Supreme Court. Then Dastan Omari says he doesn't mind taking this thing up to the Supreme Court. So why are they mentioning the Supreme Court now? After the preliminaries hasn't take care of the preliminaries. That's what I mean. That's why I'm saying this is a play mchezo wa town. Mchezo wa town. But hey, you make up your mind. Everyone has his own mind. Think about what you will. We shall cover it and we shall follow it. Now, tomorrow, apparently 1 p.m. Kenyan time, the court will rule on the conservative order, whether to lift it or not. Of course, you know, everything that this court is going to do shall be appealed at the courts of appeal. And everything, and guess what? If I was to guess, I would say the courts of appeal also shall ninio. Or maybe they might vote in regarding Gachagua's ninio, then it will be undone. The government side will go to the Supreme Court. So him mchezo itaendelea hivi until we get to the Supreme Court. Kome will be the last one to have the last laugh. And that might take 2 years, 3 months, I don't know. So what I would say is this. Why do I think Gachagua's goose is cooked? I told you. I took my conspiracy theorist hat out. If I was to wear it, I will tell you Gachagua is part of the mchezo wa town, this whole game. But today I'll pretend that I don't suspect any kind of larger conspiracy behind it. So I will say this. Gachagua's goose is cooked. It's just a matter of playing it out. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, I won't stay long. It's been 32 minutes. I think I just wanted to rant about this. There's so much unprocedural process that's happening, not only in these courts. We saw it happen in the National Assembly and the Senate. Now we are seeing it in the courts. And it's all drama. These people are arguing one case for like the whole day. Then the judge says they just dragged the whole week. All this could have been done in like 2 days. But I will leave it there. You make up your mind. We shall follow closely and see how things unfold. All I can say is I think they have it in for Gachagua to fail. And this Gachagua case, will prove beyond any reasonable doubt that the judiciary has been compromised by Ruto. But we have to remember this. Now I'll put my conspiracy theory hat back on. Do not for a second think that Ruto is the only culprit in this. I told you, Kenya is being run by a organized criminal enterprise. It's a round table of individuals, powerful individuals, who seek to gain from exploiting Kenyans. Like, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel. My name is Kenya Revolutionary. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace and blessings.